Courtney Hammond, a blueberry and cranberry farmer in Washington County, Maine, has many concerns, as do many farmers. Weather, invasive species, failed crops, and worldwide prices are all on his mind. To comply with federal food safety regulations, he had to undergo training, keep detailed records, implement bug and rodent control measures, and document the sanitation of his processing equipment on a regular basis. "I don't have to worry about anyone getting sick from eating anything that leaves my farm," he says, despite the fact that it's a lot of effort. He is now concerned that a new law may jeopardize his hard work. Earlier this month, 61% of Maine voters approved a constitutional amendment ensuring that all Mainers have a right to food. One of the most crucial parts of every relationship is trust. Medicine treats a person's physical disease, but trust and caring aid mental recovery. When it comes to you, a trustworthy individual will be dependable and honest. They will not lie, steal, cheat, lose their devotion to something, or abandon you over insignificant concerns. The words integrity, honesty, reliability, and loyalty come to mind when describing trustworthiness. Integrity means having faith in yourself and standing up for your values. If there is no trust between husband and wife, parents and children, friends and neighbors, etc., life will be difficult. It is impossible to regain trust after it has been lost. Life may go on after trust is lost, but the frayed edge will always be obvious. A 10-pound prize was given to anyone who could provide information regarding Oliver's parents. However, no valuable information was found. Oliver was transported to a nearby poor farm, where he spent his early years being neglected and starved. He was returned to the workhouse when he was 9 years old. The children in the workhouse were fed so little that they were practically constantly hungry. Other children forced Oliver to request a second dish of oatmeal one day. This unexpected and unprecedented demand astounded the officials. They put him in solitary prison right away to give him a deterrent punishment and posted a bill offering £5 to any master who would take him. For food delivery companies, the European market is a difficult landscape. In the last few years, Delivery Hero has had a good run. It ascended to the DAX, the stock market index of Germany's most valued listed companies, in August 2020. It can be found in 50 different countries across 4 continents. The third quarter's revenue was €1.8 billion, $2 billion, up 89% from the same time in 2020. We grew 100% before Corona, 100% during Corona, and 100% after Corona, says Niklas Ostberg, the Swedish chief executive of the Berlin-based corporation. Delivery Hero is more than twice as big as DoorDash, a major American competitor, in terms of order volume. Despite the fact that attention is essential for learning, it is difficult to achieve. It is a technique that requires a great deal of patience and effort to master. Whoever masters it is a true yogi. Controlling our senses and bringing all of our consciousness into one place is no easy undertaking. Life is complex, and there are always multiple situations clamoring for our attention, making it even more difficult to concentrate on just one subject. Even if we try to focus completely on the task at hand, our subconscious mind is scattered in many areas and quickly drags our conscious mind along with it without our knowledge. As a result, it necessitates a great deal of self-control and determination.
Excuse me, is this seat free?
Yes.
Thanks.
My name is Mrs. Smith. It is nice to meet you.
Hi, Mrs. Smith. My name is Mr. Bean. It's nice to meet you too.
Where are you from, Mr. Bean? You sound like you not from England.
I am from Thailand. I have been visiting my family in Manchester. How about you?
Same as every day at this time on my way to work, as usual.
A wrong conduct should be immediately apologized for, whether it was done consciously or unknowingly. The longer an apology is postponed, the more distant a relative becomes, and the friendship or relationship may dissolve permanently. In some circumstances, such as in terms of health or machine repair, deferring an action can be disastrous. A cold or a runny nose, if untreated, can develop into sinusitis, and a severe cough can develop into tuberculosis. Neglecting a physical ache could result in a lethal malignancy. Similarly, a vehicle malfunction can cause, if not an accident, at least a delay in reaching a destination, as it can break down in the middle of the journey.
Well, the simple explanation might be that yesterday's sudden drop in share prices pretty much across the board has created what market analysts like to call a buying opportunity. It tends to bring out investors to pick through the ruins, looking for bargains. Decision by investors that sellers got a little carried away with things, so the buyers have lifted all the major indexes today. The Dow, the Nasdaq, the S&P 500 were all up around 0.5% in early trading today, and that wasn't a big surprise. The sell-off continued somewhat. Overseas European markets remain fairly weak, along with many of the Asian markets. But you'll remember that all this started with a big plunge of around 9% on the stock market in Shanghai. Dams are huge man-made structures that act as barriers on a river. Today, the main reason people build dams is to produce electricity. They are also built to restrict and control the flow of water in a river. Throughout history, dams have been used to prevent flooding and to irrigate farmland. Dams supply about a sixth of the world's electricity, and they significantly reduce the risk of floods and droughts. They also make water easier to access, especially in desert-like areas, where water is in low supply. There are, however, some negative effects of damming rivers. Many people's homes are knocked down to make space for the dam, and flooding can occur in the reservoir, which is the area behind the dam where water collects. Globalization helps to consider the whole world as a single market. Traders are extending their areas of business by treating the world as a global village. Earlier till the 1990s, there was a restriction on importing certain products which were already manufactured in India, like agricultural products, engineering goods, food items and toiletries. However, during the 1990s there was a pressure from the rich countries on the poor and developing countries to allow them to spread their businesses by opening their markets. In India, the globalization and liberalization process was started in 1991. Prices of good quality products came down because of the cutthroat competition in the market. Oxygen is the most vital nutrient for our bodies. It is essential for the integrity of the brain, nerves, glands and internal organs. We can do without food for weeks and without water for days. But without oxygen, we will die within a few minutes. If the brain does not get proper supply of this essential nutrient, it will result in the degradation of all vital organs in the body. The brain requires more oxygen than any other organ. If it does not get enough, the result is mental sluggishness, negative thoughts and depression and, eventually, vision and hearing decline. Old people and those whose arteries are clogged often become senile and vague because oxygen to the brain is reduced. They get irritated very quickly.
Success starts with your thoughts. Whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And your mind is nothing more than a bundle of thoughts. Since you have the power to shape your thoughts, you automatically have the power to fashion your fate and decide your destiny. Thus, your thoughts are the most potent, powerful and prime source of your success. For your thoughts to blossom into success, they should be combined with definiteness of purpose, perseverance and a burning, pulsating strong desire to translate them into action. Believe that you will succeed and believe it firmly. You will then do whatever is necessary to bring success about. The world's first bookless library has been set up in the state of Texas in the United States. Unlike the rows upon rows of books that are found in a conventional library anywhere in the world, at the bookless library, there are high-tech gadgets that have replaced the books as found in other libraries. The borrowers of books from this high-tech bookless library have a different set of rules to follow when borrowing books. Instead of taking home books for reading, the members of the library, who are registered residents of the South Texas country of Buxar, can now access their choice of reading matter from e-readers. Also, instead of having to pay a fee for membership of the library and for borrowing books and other facilities, the members can borrow reading matter from the bookless library for free. We live in an age of wonders and miracles. It has been called the age of science, and different aspects of our life that changed in the preceding centuries have been attributed to science. This is completely true, but it is only one side of the coin. The flip side is that as we have advanced more in the field of technology, something fundamental to humanity has been left behind. Values such as empathy and concern for our fellow human beings are gradually being eroded due to the onslaught of our ever-evolving lifestyles, aided by the marvels of technological advancements. Take the example of the Internet. On one hand, access to information and knowledge at the click of a button is a veritable boon to everyone, especially students, and this has made our lives much simpler.
For some people, this proposition may seem far-fetched, but ending poverty is both morally necessary and actually feasible. All of us must play a role in making it happen. All human beings want and have a right to live in dignity, to determine our own destinies, and to be respected by other people. Despite the universality of these rights, our capacities to fulfill them vary enormously. And no dividing line is more profound in influencing the quality of our lives than the gulf between poverty and prosperity.
Well, there's a positive obligation on the bank to ensure that the people who are signing a loan guarantee know what they're doing. Loan guarantees are kind of unique in that someone is giving security or a guarantee and placing themselves at risk for someone else, and they receive nothing material in return. So you've got to ask yourself, why is this person doing this? Do they know what they're doing? They're risking a lot and not really getting anything back for it. So the imperative is that the bank must ensure that these people know what they're doing and that they fully understand the implications of what they're doing, and they know that their properties may be sold if another person doesn't meet their obligations.
Oh, it's very spooky. First of all, probability by itself is spooky. Let me show you how probability enters the system. You walk past a store window, and you see an image of yourself in the store window. You're straightened apart. You're not so bad, for a man of my age. The guy in the store window who's fooling around with mannequins, he sees you, and you see yourself. What does that mean? A stream of photons from sunlight leaves your face, heads for the store window. Let's consider one of them. It has a choice. It can go right through so that the guy behind the window can see you, or it could be reflected from the store window. Some fraction of them are reflected, some of them go through. What determines that? What determines the future of that photon? And countless such examples teach us that it's random, that it's a throw of the dice. And that's where Einstein made his famous statement, God plays dice with the universe. At every instant of that single object, that quantum object, we have probability. We do not have certainty.
No, that's an important aspect. As you alluded to earlier, we've previously done work which has proven that in some situations, even people whose blood pressure is not high can benefit from blood pressure lowering therapy. So in this study, the main reason that we included patients was because of diabetes. We didn't care what their blood pressure was, whether it was high or low. And our objective was to see whether or not lowering average or below average blood pressure in diabetics was beneficial. And the results suggested that irrespective of whether your blood pressure was high or low, if you had diabetes, you benefited.
What's an article? I was asking myself this very question in the post office yesterday, standing in line waiting to sign for, as it so happens, an article. A postal article. Not the postal article. Now before we get ahead of ourselves, an article in English is a word that precedes a noun, and simply indicates specificity. This sounds quite complicated, and to be honest, it's quite complicated to say without spraying everyone within 15 feet, but the concept's quite simple. The definite article in English is the word, the, and indicates a specific thing or type. For example, the train is an hour late. By contrast, the indefinite article in English is any of the words, a, an, or, some, and the indefinite article indicates a non-specific thing. For example, would you please pass me an apple? We always precede a word with, a, if it doesn't start with a vowel sound. For example, take a hike. I'm spending a weekend at Bernie's, or there's a knight in shining armor. Similarly, we precede words with the indefinite article, an, if they do start with a vowel sound, for example, an ostrich, an enormous mess, or an occupational health and safety policy.
Although the original American Indian cultures were highly diverse, they were similar in many of their traditions. Religious beliefs and rituals permeated every aspect of Indian life. Southwest tribes such as the Hopi and the Apaches had a rich and elaborate year-round sequence of ceremonials including songs, dances, and poetry. The Hopi performed dances to bring rain. The Apaches engaged in special dances and ceremonies to gain the support of the spirits before undertaking raids or going into war. The Plains tribes often sought contact with the spirits by going on a vision quest.
Archery, the practice or art of shooting with a bow and arrow, has played an important part in English history, being the main weapon of the foot soldier and instrumental in winning many battles in wars with the French, with whom we seem to be constantly at war during the Middle Ages. The English favoured the long bow over the short bow and the crossbow, the latter being the main firearm of militaries on the European continent. The crossbow fired a metal bolt released by a trigger, rather like a gun, and had the longest range of any of the bows. But the main advantage of the longbow was its accuracy. The importance placed on archery is illustrated by the fact that medieval kings in England encouraged the practice, and one of them, Edward III, went so far as to ban all sports on Sundays and holidays except archery. Because there were no standing armies in those days, and in the event of war rulers had to call on the populace, everything was done to make sure there were large numbers of competent, if not expert, archers to recruit.
When societies were still mostly rural and agricultural, waste disposal was hardly an issue, partly because people tended to make use of everything, and partly because there was plenty of space to bury rubbish. It was when societies became predominantly urban and industrial that problems arose, mainly to do with health. City authorities had a hard time trying to find efficient ways of getting rid of all the rubbish. One of these was to get people to sort out their rubbish into different types, just as these days we are encouraged to separate our rubbish into different categories for easier removal and recycling. So, for example, kitchen rubbish was set aside and used for feeding animals. However, fears of disease put an end to that. In fact, it wasn't until the 20th century that all waste was simply thrown together and ploughed into landfills. Leisure travel was, in a sense, a British invention. This was mainly due to economic and social factors. Britain was the first country to become fully industrialised, and industrial society offered growing numbers of people time for leisure. This, coupled with improvements in transport, especially the railways, meant that large numbers of people could get to holiday resorts in a very short time. Modern mass tourism, of a sort we can easily recognise today, began in 1841, when Thomas Cook organised the first package tour, in which everything was included in the cost: travel, hotel, and entertainment. To cater for the large numbers of new holidaymakers, holiday camps were established, both on the coast and in the countryside, and they became immensely popular. Their popularity declined, however, with the rise of cheap overseas tours, which gave many people their first opportunity to travel abroad.
No news is good news may be true for most of us most of the time. After all, we don't look forward to unpleasant things happening to us. But bad news is good news is true for those who work in the news media, and I suspect for the rest of us at least some of the time. It is tied up with stories and our seemingly insatiable need for stories. Have you ever been gripped by a story where nothing goes wrong for the characters? There's an incident in a Kingsley Amis novel that nicely illustrates this. The main character, Jake, comes home to find his wife chatting to a friend about a hairdresser both women know, who has moved with his family to somewhere in Africa. Jake listens in, expecting tales of cannibalism and such like. But no. The friend has just received a letter saying they love the place and are settling in nicely. Jake leaves the room in disgust. We demand to be entertained, and while we don't object to a happy ending, the characters have to have experienced loss, pain and hardship in one form or another along the way to have deserved it.
New collection of articles has been published. A new collection of articles has been published. The features issued the same explanation of the problem. The features issued the same explanation of the problem. The economy is showing signs of revival. The economy is showing signs of revival. They have struggled since last year to make their services paid. They have struggled since last year to make their services paid. Students have the options to live in college residences or apartments. Students have the options to live in college residences or apartments. Good nutrition is crucial to the general health and vitality. Good nutrition is crucial to the general health and vitality. Participants initially select from a range of foundation subjects. Participants initially select from a range of foundation subjects. The new art gallery can only be visited on Fridays. The new art gallery can only be visited on Fridays. Free campus tours run daily during summer for prospective students. Free campus tours run daily during summer for prospective students. Theatre study courses encourage students to exercise creativity. Theatre study courses encourage students to exercise creativity. Journalism is facing a crisis in the light of the digital revolution. Journalism is facing a crisis in the light of the digital revolution. If finance is a cause of concern, scholarships may be available. If finance is a cause of concern, scholarships may be available. She used to be the editor of the student newspaper. She used to be the editor of the student newspaper. The technician left the new microscope in the biology lab. The technician left the new microscope in the biology lab. There will be a conference here next summer on using the web for academic research. There will be a conference here next summer on using the web for academic research. Supply and demand is one of the fundamental concepts in economics. Supply and demand is one of the fundamental concepts in economics. Marine environment has been destroyed by pollution and unsustainable development. Marine environment has been destroyed by pollution and unsustainable development. Students who are successful have a good strategy for learning. Students who are successful have a good strategy for learning. The company needs to polish its image. The company needs to polish its image. Textile manufacturing plays a large role in improving economies. Textile manufacturing plays a large role in improving economies. I will now demonstrate how the reaction can be arrested by adding a dilute acid. I will now demonstrate how the reaction can be arrested by adding a dilute acid. The artists and conservative politicians earn their rules of politics. The artists and conservative politicians earn their rules of politics. The Northern Campus car park is located behind the library. The Northern Campus car park is located behind the library. The same issues featured both explanations of the problem. The same issues featured both explanations of the problem. Scientists here are studying a wide variety of atmospheric processes. Scientists here are studying a wide variety of atmospheric processes. Clinical placements of nursing prepare students for professional practices. Clinical placements of nursing prepare students for professional practices. The time of the math lecture has been changed to 10:30. The time of the math lecture has been changed to 10:30. There is a strict eligibility criterion to undertake background speaker studies. There is a strict eligibility criterion to undertake background speaker studies. The paper challenged many previously accepted theories. The paper challenged many previously accepted theories. Students are encouraged to think carefully about their accommodation needs. Students are encouraged to think carefully about their accommodation needs. Some people believe that education should be free for all. Some people believe that education should be free for all. Sea levels were expected to rise during the past 2 centuries. Sea levels were expected to rise during the past 2 centuries. Bad policy decisions led to the financial crisis. Bad policy decisions led to the financial crisis. One of the election promises is to decrease the income tax. One of the election promises is to decrease the income tax. This paper challenged the previously accepted theories. This paper challenged the previously accepted theories. The development in the information technology has greatly changed the way people work. The development in the information technology has greatly changed the way people work. Those seeking formal extension should contact their faculty for information. Those seeking formal extension should contact their faculty for information. I can't attend the lecture because I have a doctor's appointment. I can't attend the lecture because I have a doctor's appointment. The coffee house has special student discounts throughout the week. The coffee house has special student discounts throughout the week. There is an accounting assessment for finance students. There is an accounting assessment for finance students. Before attending the lecture, you must register online or by post. Before attending the lecture, you must register online or by post. Renovation works have been undertaken throughout the building. Renovation works have been undertaken throughout the building. Atmosphere is composed of several layers. Atmosphere is composed of several layers. Organizational failure is considered in various perspectives. Academic literature. Organizational failure is considered in various perspectives. Academic literature. The business policy seminar includes an internship with a local firm. The business policy seminar includes an internship with a local firm. Popular culture is a serious subject of academic inquiry. Popular culture is a serious subject of academic inquiry. Food cannot be eaten in the main library. Food cannot be eaten in the main library. To improve the essay, I decided to include more direct quotes. To improve the essay, I decided to include more direct quotes. Read the student safety instructions before using any equipment in the workshops. Read the student safety instructions before using any equipment in the workshops. Newspapers are supported primarily by the sale of advertising space. Newspapers are supported primarily by the sale of advertising space. Upgrading manufacturing systems can increase efficiency. Upgrading manufacturing systems can increase efficiency. Cinema and music are as important as science and mathematics. Cinema and music are as important as science and mathematics. Majority of our decisions are not rational. Majority of our decisions are not rational. Students' concession cards can be obtained by completing an application form. Students' concession cards can be obtained by completing an application form. Organic food is considered to be free of chemicals. Organic food is considered to be free of chemicals. Students are encouraged to monitor their own attendance. Students are encouraged to monitor their own attendance. Members should make concentrated contributions to operating funds. Members should make concentrated contributions to operating funds. The horizontal line on the graph indicates there was no periodical change. The horizontal line on the graph indicates there was no periodical change. Without doubt, this theory has a number of limitations. Without doubt, this theory has a number of limitations. This course is very integrated because it has several parts. This course is very integrated because it has several parts. The university should introduce technology to support learning. The university should introduce technology to support learning. The first assignment is due on the 14th of September. The first assignment is due on the 14th of September. All of the assignments should be submitted in person to the faculty office. All of the assignments should be submitted in person to the faculty office. University staff can provide advice on renting and accommodation. University staff can provide advice on renting and accommodation. Our courses help improve critical thinking and independent learning skills. Our courses help improve critical thinking and independent learning skills. The visiting speaker used to be a lecturer in this department. The visiting speaker used to be a lecturer in this department. Lectures are the oldest and the most formal teaching method at universities. Lectures are the oldest and the most formal teaching method at universities. Sea levels are expected to rise during the next century. Sea levels are expected to rise during the next century.